Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome everybody to Moorish Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Black. And tonight our special guest will be Dr. Walter Williams as we discuss 5 steps toward the liberation of African people born in America. This is what we're going to be talking about this evening, and our basic concern is the solution to the problem. We'll be dealing with the following questions. What is it exactly that will set these people free? What is it that is holding them back in the first place? What about reparations? We'll get down in that and see if there's a solution there as well. Why haven't their religious beliefs saved them? Time do they have left? These are very, very basic questions, and I think this is something that needs exploring because we need to monitor what's going on with our people on a regular basis. And me and the good Dr. Walter, we decide that this particular broadcast on tonight would be appropriate to answer those questions. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that this is all about getting to the solution to the problem. We know what the problem is, but we want to get to the solution to the problem. That's what we're concerned about, the solution. That's all I want to know about this. Tell me the solution. You don't have to tell me the problem anymore. Just give me the solution to the problem. And this is what we're going to be dealing with here this evening. Before we get started, I'm going to go into the commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to go in. So y'all just hold on a minute. We'll be back. Okay? Setting up your trust is one of the greatest financial moves you can ever make for yourself and your family. Learn how to do that by visiting newdebtelimination.com. Our secure party and creditor package is the best, complete with everything you need to know and beyond. Don't hesitate to contact me, Tarhaka Black, for more information. 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's newdebtelimination.com. Now it's time to set up your trust. This is for very serious people only. If you're a serious individual, contact me, 904-303-9061, or visit newdebtelimination.com. What does Tarhaka Secure Party and Creditor Package entails? Private consultation by phone and email, the correct system for paying your property taxes in the private, the documents you will need to conduct business and transactions, public and private, Tarhaka Library, documents for status change in commerce, master study manuals, and trust guides, free credit repair with all 3 credit bureaus, a business for you in itself.
Educational materials on DVD and CD sent directly to your postal box. 1099's education and how to file. How to become a private banker the right way. Asset building, protection, and investing. We also, for all of our clients, host our private conference calls. To access this kind of education and power, go to www.newdataelimination.com or call me directly, 904-303-9061. Also keep in mind, we have the top best financial advisors there is. Peace.
Okay, before you rush out to save the world, have you made up your own bed yet? Does being a secured party make you invincible? The answer is no. But what are the benefits of being a secured party? Go to www.newdataelimination.com. That's www.newdataelimination.com. Or call me, Tarhaka Monel Bay, directly, 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You be a secured party creditor, but the most important part about all of it is knowing what it is and knowing exactly what to do with it. That's extremely important. www.newdataelimination.com.
All right, everybody, we're back, and it appears that my distinguished guest, and we will not only have Dr. Walter Williams with us tonight, we'll have an additional guest, maybe more than one. But you all buckle your seatbelts and keep in mind that the number to dial into the broadcast is 310-982-4184. Press 1 on your phone. That would give me an indication that you have something to say. Okay? All right. I'm going to go on in and open up the phone lines at area code 773. Dr. Walter Williams, are you with us tonight?
Yes, sir, Dr. Tarhaka, I'm here.
Okay, fantastic. We have another line with his hand raised at area code 98. If you would hold on a minute. Dr. Williams opened up this line so this guy can tell us who he is or whoever it is. Area code 980. Could you tell us who you are and where you're calling from?
I am Daryl E. Rice, and I'm calling you from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, Mr. Rice. All right. Well, we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? We're going to keep your phone line open here tonight so you can help us deliver this information on 5 steps toward the liberation of Africans born in America.
Okay. First of all, I just want to give honor and thanks to Brother Dr. Walter Williams for inviting me on here and for being a stalemate and a seriously male totem in my life. With his studies and his guidance, he's helped me to achieve higher levels of intellect and understanding from various standpoints, from religion to just being a man and a good father. So I just want to publicly thank him. I am a published author. My focus is on intellect for our people, of African people. That is my focus. My first book is The Intellectual Sterilization, where I focus on things that has broken down in the way that we think and our thought processes, and I offer solutions on how to fix them. So that is my area of expertise, and I'm here to contribute to help with our liberation.
Okay. And you said that's your, how can people get a hold of your book?
My book can be found at DarylERice.com. That's DARYLE as in Edward, Rice.com. DarylERice.com.
Okay. Well, Brother Rice, what's your take on the solution to? I mean, we know what the problem is with our people.
Yes, sir.
And apart from what we see in everyday life, what do you think is a concrete solution to that, if you would?
One concrete solution, as I say, is my focus is our intellect and how we think. And one thing that we must do, if you don't have your mind, if someone else has your mind, then they have you. And one thing we must do is eliminate all white supremacy from our thought processes. And I'll tell you how basic this can go. It's even as basic as people may think this is silly, but these are things that we have to do. Even as simple as someone that sneezes and people run, to say, bless you, for a natural body function. So if someone passes gas, should you say, bless you too? Or burp, is that a bless you too? I mean, sneezing is a natural body function. It's so ingrained that some people don't even realize it. So the process of understanding of the way you think and the way you see the world and eliminating all elements of white supremacy out of your life in order for you to come into the fold to understand who your African essence really is. That is the first step. I outline these steps in my book in terms of simple things as changing the way you talk, your diction, building your vocabulary, changing your demeanor, changing how you treat one another. Be respectful for one another, and have some type of dignity when you walk. We're proud people, we really are, changing your regalia and how you present yourself and how you articulate yourself, because these are things that the root of who you are can change internally first before you can start talking about things, such as reparations that needs some type of system or some type of other intervention. If you start within first, then it'll help you to eliminate these things to start making a better path for yourself. So your intellect is very key on how you think, how you study, what you interpret, and question everything.
Well, I have to go along with that. Before I bring in Dr. Walter Williams, I'm going to give my 2 cent worth on how I see it, and I'm totally in line with what you are saying, especially when we are accustomed to saying things on a regular basis, and just like you stated, we do these things for number one, we're creatures of habit, but we just go along with doing things without questioning them or even making any attempts to change them. Your style of dress, the things that you are saying, how you're handling situations, how you are, what places you're going to, what are you saying out of your mouth? How often do we make an effort to think outside of the box? And I made that a habit to the point where I realized that when it comes to having money, one of the first things that we do is, I got to get a job. Well, a job is a means by accumulating some funds, but in my opinion, I think that's way down the top totem pole. What happens when an individual decide to think about what it is that they want in order to generate income and use their own brain to just simply be created and bring it into existence? I mean, everything that we see all around us, all the buildings, all the cars, all the products, everything that we see is in existence because of somebody's preceding thought impulse. In other words, it exists because someone simply thought of it and took the time to bring it into existence. And I call that thinking outside of the box. And I think that's one of the key things that we can that we should pay attention to. If you need income, well, why don't you just sit down and concentrate on it, and the answers will come. I mean, I know that for a fact because I've actually done that. I've actually thought of things and went out there just simply built them. As a carpenter, I did that. I did it more than once. Created my own jobs. I learned things on other people's jobs and then came on and started doing it for myself. I have the skills. I have the tools. And so I think with a lot of people, we're afraid to step out onto our own thoughts. We're afraid to trust our own brain. And so you're absolutely correct about the changes that we need to make. And starting with our own thoughts, I think, in my opinion, I think that's number one. Dr. Williams, are you ready for us here?
Yes, I'm ready and willing and able to proceed forward. Yes, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Well, we're dealing with the solution, so let us have it.
Well, first I'm going to thank my dear brother and my son, Daryl Rice. We consider each other. He considers me as a father figure to him, and I consider him as a son figure to me. So I want to thank him for coming on this radio program. I invited him on because of his high intellect. He's a very intellectual, highly informative young man. Thank you, Brother Daryl E. Rice, for coming on this panel this evening. And the words that he spoke thus far is very dynamic and encouraging, and it should be inspirational to the listening audience. And the words that you spoke, Brother Tarhaka, is very encouraging and inspirational also to our listening audience. Now, we're going to get to the solutions. That's what this program is all about this evening. Now, what are the solutions? The solution to our African problem with African people living in the United States of America. I will go through them one by one, and I'm going to get to the main ones that we need to make a change to create this solution for change. First, I want to say that the whole world today is changing all around us. As you see what happened yesterday, that the children, teenagers, children not even in their teens, are speaking out and organizing themselves. And one thing that I heard and didn't hear yesterday as I watched the television of the demonstrations around the world and around this country, I didn't hear the word God or Jesus being brought up. Now, one time did those speakers, no matter how young or what age that they came to the podium to speak, not one time did they use the name Jesus or God. So that is something to notice from the new generation that's coming up in our midst right now, right before our eyes. Now, the first step in our liberation as an African people in this country, we have to know ourselves. Like the great Dr. Imhotep of ancient Egypt once said, know thyself. So we as an African people living in the United States of America, we must know ourselves, meaning that we must know our own personal humanity. That's the first step of our enlightenment as a human being. The first step of our learning is something about our own personal humanity. Now, what am I saying, and what do I mean by that? Now, every human being walking this earth, you got 7 billion humans walking this earth as human beings of different races, creeds, and color. They all came into this world the same way that you and I came into this world, by our mothers and fathers having a sexual intercourse, and our father's sperm impregnated our mother's egg, and thus causing the 9 months of incubation to bring us into this world as a human being individually. Now, once we came out of that incubation period, which is 9 months, we were attached to her umbilical cord. Her umbilical cord was cut by the doctor to separate you, the individual human, from your mother. So therefore, you must know that the first thing that you were given is life in this world. You had life coming as a result of your mother and father having a sexual intercourse, and your father's sperm impregnating your mother's egg. So after the 9 months of incubation, the umbilical cord was cut by the doctors to separate you from your mother, thus giving you and causing you to have life surging through your being, your body. And that life that you were given is your individual, divine, spiritual birthright. That's your birthright, okay? Now, that umbilical cord served three things. It served to give you air, food, and water during that 9 months of incubation. Now, that's the first thing you must know, is that how you got here by way of your mother and father having a sexual relationship, thus causing the results of that sexual relationship. As a result, you came into being. And this life that you were given is your indwelling divine spiritual birthright. Now, you also must know about yourself that you and all humans were born with a pineal gland. The pineal gland is a sensory organ that sits in the middle of your brain. It serves as a receiver and a sender between you, the human being, and your personal universe. Now, every human being that's walking this earth have a personal universe that they live in 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Now, if I cut your head open, I can see your brains, but I cannot see your mind. Your mind is your personal universe that you live in, and that's an invisible mind that is connected to the bigger, omnipotent universe, okay, that has no beginning and no ending. So therefore, here you are. We are, as a human being, as human beings walking this earth, we are in contact with this our endless, non-beginning universe that our minds are connected to. So therefore, we live in our own mind. Tarhaka Black thought of one day to go and get a blog talk radio show. Okay, so that was in his mind. No one could see that, but you saw it. Okay, Darrell E. Rice thought one day, so let me write a book. So he thought of what the title and the subject of the book was to be about, and he sat down, and coming from his invisible mind and his thought, he created this book. Coming from the invisible mind of Tarhaka Black came this program that we're on today. So your subconscious mind is part of your conscious mind. So you must know something and learn something about your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is an area of your human anatomy that you store things in, okay? That you store things in that you want to keep for later references. You see, just like you're on your computer, you have you take in information on your computer, and the things that you want to keep on your computer, you hit a button, and that button takes those what you want to keep into that receiving area of the computer. And when you want to retrieve it, you hit another button, and it pops back up and gives you what you want. Your subconscious mind is doing the same thing. You see, so that's the first thing that you must know about yourself. Know thyself. Know your own personal humanity. Okay? Now, that's the first step. The second step that a human must know, I'm talking about to African people, and I'm using all of humanity, but I am talking directly to and for African people to liberate themselves. This is the information that you need to liberate yourself and become a different people. Okay? So therefore, you must know that no human, including yourself, was not born with a religion. That's the step number 2. That you were not born with a religion. How did you get a religion? Well, man created a religion for you to control your thinking and your actions. You see? And you must know that in order for you to avoid the embracement or the intake of a religion. That you were not born with a religion. You were born with everything that you spiritually need to sustain yourself for the rest of your life. It was given to you at the time of your birth. Everything. So you had to understand these religions and what they are all about, and for the reason why they were created to control your thinking and control your actions. Like Carter G. Woodson said in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro, in 1933. He said that you can control a man's thinking, and once you control his thinking, if he's been trained to go to the back of a building or a house and find a back door, if he doesn't find one there, he'll make one. See, this is Carter G. Woodson saying in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. Now, so you must understand that no human was born with a religion. Religions, how did you get a religion? Humans get religions because their parents or whoever raised them as a child passed this disease and virus on to them in their early child innocent age. And in their early child innocent age, they couldn't say, Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a Christian. I don't want to be a Muslim. I don't want to be a black Hebrew Israelite. I don't want to be a black Jew. I don't want to be a Buddhist, a Zoroastrian. I don't want to have no religious affiliation whatsoever in my life. You couldn't say that. So therefore, you grew up not knowing anything, trusting your parents, and next thing you know, you got a big cross around your neck with a dead white man hanging on it. You see, and you're a Christian, and so forth and so on. And that goes with Islam also. You pass this disease of Islam to you as an early child, innocent age of your life. Or a lot of our members of our African race become Muslims when they go to be incarcerated in jails and so forth and so on, and by other means. But religion, you have to know that no human was born with a religion. So religion needs the human being, because what is the glue that keeps all religions together? It's one's belief. If you do not believe in the religion has no value to it, because you, the human being, with your own personal spirituality that you were born with, that life spirit that I talked about in the first step of your liberation, you give all your life's energy and life's spirit to that religion. So therefore, you become a powerless individual. Thereby, we become a powerless people. So therefore, you have to understand what religion is all about, and the glue that keeps religion together is one's belief. Now, one's belief does not give one knowledge. Faith does not give one knowledge. Belief only incarcerates your thinking, just like an individual who is sentenced to a prison. When he goes to the prison to be incarcerated in this institution, he is given a space to live in, a limited space, 6 by 9 or whatever the case might be. So therefore, you do the same thing to your humanity and your thinking process when you embrace a religion. That religion only limits your thinking, because you cannot think, like you said, Brother Tarhaka, outside of the box. You see? Mm-hmm. You can't think outside of the box. You are in a box, this religious box. See? So therefore, you have to understand how an individual human being gets a religion is passed down from whoever raised them, their mother and father, whoever raised them, down to this innocent infant child. And the child in his infancy doesn't have knowledge to say, Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a Christian. So therefore, or whatever religion is passed down to them. See? So now what happened to your mother and father is that your grandparents did the same thing that your mother and father is doing to you at this very moment. And your great-grandparents did it to your grandparents. And your great-great-grandparents did it to your great-grandparents, and back. So today, as I speak, we, as an African people, have to stop it. But you have to have knowledge to understand what has happened to us in order for us to stop it. So therefore, that's the second step towards our liberation, is we have to divest ourselves from all religion. Okay? Now, the third step for our study and know the laws of the universe. Okay? We got to know what is meant by reciprocity. We have to know about what you reap, what you sow, what goes around comes around. We have to know these things, and all the things that you have to know are laws, natural laws of the universe, like our ancestors, ancient Egyptians. They used an underlying principle known as the Me'afian Creed: truth, justice, peace, love, and wisdom. See, those are the universal laws. If you can go into the truth and understand the law of the truth, understand the law of justice, understand the law of love, understand these laws like that, as containing to the Me'afian Creed: truth, justice, peace, love, and wisdom. See? So you have to know and learn the laws of the universe. That's very, very, very key. Very key. Now, you also have to know, as an African people in this country, you're going to have to know some history about your ancestors. Okay? You have to understand the history of what happened to our African ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks got into Egypt. You have to know that. You have to understand and know and study the history, what happened to those Africans who went into Spain, who were asked to come into Spain, known as the Moors. You have to understand and study the Africans that were asked to come into the Vatican to build the Vatican. And you have to understand those Africans known as the Moors that came over in this hemisphere in 1492 with Columbus and what they did over here, how our ancestors built this whole Americas as we know it today, North and South America, you see. So you have to know these histories in order for you to understand what is happening to us as a people. So we have to study and learn that our African ancient Egyptian ancestors were the ones that brought forth civilization for all of humanity. Every human on this planet that we call Earth, every human is using the culture and what we and our ancestors had created over there in Africa. We have to know that. We have to know that our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, were the world's first literate people on planet Earth. Why? Because they created an alphabet to make themselves literate. That alphabet will give you, make you literate because it teaches you how to read, write, and spell. That creates a literate human being. You have to understand that our ancestors created all forms of mathematics. They were the world's first builders. They built the greatest edifice that's ever been built on planet Earth, known as the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, and so forth and so on. That pyramid go from the ground up to 490 feet high, tall. That's awesome. And no human on Earth has figured out how our ancestors built such a great monument, such as the Great Pyramid. And the base on each side of the pyramid measures 756 feet wide. That's awesome. And they had those outer casing stones made of granite and other materials that weighed 250 tons each, and how they got them up from the ground all the way up to 490 stories high. See, that's what we have to study. Also, we have to realize that in this country as an African people, we do not have a national identity. In other words, we have no nationality. We only have a color and a description identity, which is misleading. The color that we identify ourselves is with black, and black is synonymous with Negro. Where did you and how did you get this name black applied to you? Well, once we were asked to come into Spain from North Africa, descendants of the ancient Egyptians, the Spanish-speaking people began to call us black or Moors. Why? How did we get the Moor attached to that name? the Moor is attached to that name because those Africans coming out of North Africa came out of Morocco and Mauritania. So they call them black or Moors, etc., etc. So therefore, we are still using that description today, saying that we are black people, meaning that every time you say that word, you say, I'm a Negro. Okay? Negro, when you say I'm a Negro, you're saying you're black. Synonymous. And then later on, back in the 50s, 60s, and so forth and so on, we started using the name African Americans, okay, which is also misleading, you see. So therefore, 2 years ago, at the Smithsonian Institute, they created a museum called the African American Museum of History and Culture, which is very, very misleading because it's telling us as African people in this country and telling the whole world that our history started with slavery. That's misleading, you see. So therefore, they are eliminating the beginning history, the true beginning history of us as an African people, and that's in ancient Egypt. So therefore, we have to find our way back to ancient Egypt and reclaim our greatness that's lying unclaimed in the continent of Africa, and call and identify ourselves with our ancient African ancestors, ancient Egyptians. If we do that, we have a nationality. We need a nationality. We don't have a nationality as we speak today. I'm talking about 50 or 60 million of us Africans living in this country do not have a nationality to identify with. And that was done on purpose because in the school system they taught us away from ancient Egypt on purpose. They don't want you to go there. They don't want you to go back to ancient Egypt. Okay? They want you to be black. They want you to be a Negro. They want you to be an African American. Why? Because that puts you back and your ancestors back into slavery. See? That's where you begin. Back into slavery, using those words to identify ourselves. But now when you say I'm an African ancient Egyptian descendant of the greatest people that ever walked this earth, known in history as ancient Egyptian, what happens then? White supremacy is over with. It falls flat on its face because no human on earth can claim the greatness that our ancestors had produced in the continent of Africa during the time of antiquity because they brought forth civilization for the whole entire world. So we must use those steps to find our way back to ancient Egypt. And once we get back to ancient Egypt, we have to also not only study the ancient Egyptian history and culture, we have to study European non-history because they don't have no history. But they do exist, and they did exist back there. So therefore, we have to understand who they are. We have to study European history, for the lack of another word, okay, along with studying our ancestors' history, the ancient Egyptian. Now, when the Greeks came into Egypt, we had to know that they were the first Europeans to come on the scene of history that represents the European. Because now he's coming into a hemisphere. He's coming to the continent of Africa. He's coming into Egypt. And he's now in the country where civilization was created by these African people, known in history as the ancient Egyptian. So you have to understand that our ancestors, the ancient Egyptian, before the Greeks came into Egypt in 332 BCE, had a civilization and a culture with that civilization being used for 9,668 years before the European ever set foot in Egypt. You have to understand that. Like Dr. John Henry Clark once said, he said that when the Greeks came into Egypt, civilization was over with. It was over with. So here come these Greeks. They had no alphabet. They were illiterate. They came from a country that had no literacy in it whatsoever, had no history that is written on record to accompany them, to come into and bring it into Egypt with them. They didn't have that, you see. So they were void of history. They didn't history. So therefore, we had to find out what happened to our ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. Brother Tarhaka, I'm turning it back to you.
Okay, Dr. Williams, thank you so much. You did a fantastic job. I think that puts it in a nutshell. I only want to bring in Mr. Rice, and he and I will fill in some of the other little things, because I have quite a few little pieces to the puzzle that can help us. But Mr. Rice,
yes, sir.
Could you elaborate further on what are some of the other things that you think is the solution to the problem of Africans born in America?
One of the solutions is that our identity, many of us, is totally dictated by the Caucasian, the European. Is totally dictated by that. And what I mean by that is our women. Let me give you an example before I'm going. I'm going to give you an example. This was years ago when I was back in college. I had graduated and I went back to college to finish my education degree. And this white lady asked me. She came to me and she said, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She said, "Why is it that black women strive so hard to look like me?" That's what she asked me. And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And she said, "Well, they want my hair, they want my eyes, why look like me?" And she felt comfortable asking me that. And I was like, "Okay, that's cool. Well, let me give you my answer." I said, "Well, first of all, you're not my standard of beauty." I said, "This country, this institutionalized country of a white supremacist mindset dictates to my people that you are the standard of beauty." And I said, to be clear, though, my mother is my standard of beauty and not you. I made that very clear to her. But my point is this. We strive to be something that we're not daily. Every day, we strive to be something that we're not. Our sisters, I don't have a problem saying this, but, our sisters go to great lengths to just devalue themselves in a way. What I mean by that is to adapt a Eurocentric look for themselves. Image is everything. Image is absolutely everything. Our brothers, one thing that we tend to do is that we have identified with the low-life echelon of what a black man is. I'll give you an example. Growing up in the 80s, late 70s and the 80s, I'm 47 years old. One thing that we would do was we would have a wave cap to have waves in our hair. I know you all remember that. We get the Murray's grease and you get the brush. You would brush your hair to get the waves in your hair, and you put the do-rag on at night to take it off. The do-rag, you take it off to have the waves, the fresh waves. This was in the 80s when waves were cool with your hair. So what I noticed was this. As I moved I'm originally from Indianapolis, and as I moved down south to Charlotte, North Carolina, back in the early 2000s, I started noticing that grown black men were wearing do-rags like it was a fashion statement. Now, I saw the younger kids doing it. I said, okay, well, these are our younger cats. We're past that stage. We did that when we were young. We never really wore them outside the house. But, the kids then were wearing them out. But then I started seeing grown men, black men, wearing wave caps outside the house. I said, okay, I noticed that. Then the sagging jeans thing came in. That's been here for a good 18 years that I've noticed, to the extremity that it is presently. Then I said, okay, I know the young boys, they're young, they got their things. We all had our things, so that's their thing. But then I seen a grown man with gray hair with his pants sagging. Then I seen another grown man with his pants hanging off his ass. And I'm just like, what happens is this. We go through a relapse. It's almost like the first child, the baby's born, okay, and then now you're the old one. Then you get a younger one that's born. The older one will relapse because of lack of attention. That older one wants to go back into being a baby. But see, you're past that stage. So it's the way we think and the way we categorize things in our mind to set a standard for ourselves. We've lost our standard as a people. In terms of our grown men are now sagging their pants, grown men. And then they put on the little tight jeans, just like the younger guys are doing. But we're supposed to set the example for them. Mm-hmm. Now, see, in the Eurocentric culture, this is what they do. You know, the white man, he will maintain his status and not go back to what he did as a youngster. You know, but for us, that is the standard that we go by. And to see grown men with their pants hanging down, with their underwear showing, I'm just showing you the mentality. It's how we think, how we conclude things. What are you reading? What are you writing? How are you expanding your vocabulary? You know, things of this nature, we can't get past even addressing reparations and things like that because we can't even fix ourselves within ourselves. That's the first thing. That's why my focus years ago became the focus of intellect, how we think, our thought processes, how we see things, how we got to eliminate, as Brother Walter saying, eliminate these religions out of your life because they don't serve a purpose. One of the greatest maintainers of white supremacy is religion, Christianity. That's one of the greatest maintenance of white supremacy, and we go get recharged every Sunday. Like it's nothing. Like it's you got to plug in the battery to go get recharged every Sunday. And we never question, why do we have to do this every time? You know, I've asked some of our people, I've asked them this, I say, so if God, and they always say he, I say, so God has a penis then, right? Because a he is a pronoun which denotes a noun which is a male. He is a pronoun for a masculine individual. A masculine individual is defined by the phallic, which is a penis. So I say, so you tell me God has a penis? Wait. That's when you start backtracking because we don't even think beyond what is given to us by the oppressor in the society. Then the oppressor don't even have to be in the room anymore. It can be a room full of black people, of African people, excuse me. It can be a room full of African people. And one of us will maintain that white supremacy without even being in the room. That's how we think. That is the problem. That's why we have to focus on how we think, how we conclude, what are we studying, are we building vocabulary, how do we carry ourselves, where is the dignity in being that African individual? Brother Tarhaka.
You're absolutely correct. It all takes place in the mind, and I want to add something else that I have noticed among our people. And I would go so far as to say that we are afraid to rely on our own thoughts and come to conclusions enough to take actions based on what we thought. We fail to realize that if a thing can be measured, there's no need for a debate or an argument. You cannot argue with something that you can measure. And there are basic things that we are afraid to ask our own selves and come to a conclusion about our own selves to the point that we can take action. For instance, we got all of the churches and all of the religions and all of the different gods, and most of us have cable TV. We have Fire Sticks so that we can watch these different cultures around the world, and we find that other cultures, even though other cultures have different religions. We got the Buddhist religion. We got Islam is here one way. Then you got it practiced another way over here. And then we got the Christians over here. And then we got all of these different beliefs and systems that we watch in other cultures and stuff play out. But when it comes to us, we feel like, well, we definitely got to have a religion. Well, what about the basic questions? What about common sense? Ask the question until we can get a conclusion so that we can come to a solution. If you say, do you believe in Jesus? Well, my question to someone that asked me that is, have you ever seen him or her? Do you believe in God? Well, have you ever seen him? I mean, that's a basic question, but we are afraid to ask that question. It is basic. In order to come to conclusions, people who will go so far as to ask that question, and when somebody says no, well, you're faced with a move now. You ain't never seen it. If they are saying something about heaven and hell, well, what side of town is it on? What county is it located in? What state? What country is it? So that we can go there and do an investigation to determine for a fact that it exists. So what I do is I use common sense. I'm used to thinking outside the box, changing the whole wardrobe to reflect my culture. That's what I'm engaged in now. And I'm getting a very interesting response from people. But when I look at shows where there are large gatherings of our people, I see crowds of people. No one's reflecting, from our perspective, not many people are reflecting our culture. So I think that's something we need to do, and it's all a part of thinking outside of the box and changing our own personal perception of ourselves without validation from someone else. We got to get into the habit of validating our own selves based on our own thoughts and our own projections of our own personal self-image. When you ask an average individual, well, what is your self-image? What is your personal self-image of yourself? A lot of people, I haven't thought about it really. What is your perception of yourself? What is it that you know about you for a fact that you can put on the table and prove? We're not talking about what you believe. It's one thing to believe in something, then it's something different to know for a fact, and you can prove it. And see, this is the way I like to deal with things. And my greatest opposition so far, since I've begun to do that, is coming from my own people. They fight me tooth and nail. They've even tried to corral me in a position to force me to pray to Jesus, and becomes angry and upset when you seems to be living an enjoyable, happy, and prosperous life, minus any forms of religion. They seem to want to attack you. They're not trying to understand. They don't want to understand, because if they come to the realization that they come to a conclusion that they really truly understand what I'm saying, well, now they're faced with doing something about their current situation. They don't want to do that. They want to keep prodding along, doing the same thing, looking for a different result, doing the same wrong thing, looking for a different result, and insisting on being insane. That's the bottom line. That's how I see it. If you can measure a thing, there's no argument. If it can be measured, if you know it for a fact, well, then that's what you want to put on the table. But when you tell me you believe in something, now you're telling me something about hocus pocus. That's not a fact. You're telling me what you believe in. So we're not only don't know the difference between a fact and a belief, we're refusing to know so. Not only do we not know what we are supposed to be doing and how we are supposed to be thinking, we don't want to know. We would rather have people tell us what to do rather than doing an investigation and come to a conclusion and then use our own thoughts to come about a solution. We don't want to read. We don't want to study. We don't want to investigate. We don't want to change. We want to keep the same Eurocentric mindset, the same type behavioral patterns, and continue to be upset because we're constantly being disrespected. Well, no man can respect you if you don't respect yourself. So that's what I wanted to add to that. Dr. Williams, you want to come in and give us some more from your angle?
Yes, I agree with you and Brother Darrell E. Rice about the comments that you've been making thus far on our show tonight. And I want to piggyback on that by saying that one of the reasons why we, as an African people living in the United States of America and throughout the world, who has been indoctrinated with a religion, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Black Hebrew Israelitism, Judaism, Buddhism, etc., is that religion does not afford an individual human being to think. For instance, when a Christian goes into a church, he don't have to think. They don't have to think. It's going there what they believe. The same thing with Islam. It's a belief. Belief is the glue that keeps these religions together. Same thing with Black Hebrew Israelitism. It's a belief in an Abraham, and Isaac and a Jacob, and etc. So you don't have to think. So therefore, you come in there just there because you believe. And like you said, belief does not give you knowledge because you believe. That don't give you any facts because you believe. Faith, you have faith in these various religions. That don't give you any knowledge or facts. You see? Now, one has to realize, a Christian I'm talking to at this very moment, and I'm talking to the Christian, and I'm talking about the Christian. Christians, I want you to understand this, that the symbol and the icon and the image of white supremacy is institutionalized in every Christian church throughout America and throughout the world. Okay? It's institutionalized. What do I mean by that? The institution of white supremacy is hanging on a cross, this dead white man on a cross in all Christian churches. Okay? So therefore, that is the symbol of white supremacy. So we as an African people go into these churches and bow down to this dead white man on the cross, and you call this dead white man your God and Savior. Okay? So therefore, you give away all of your power. So therefore, we become a powerless people by doing that. Stop it. So therefore, you have to understand what you're doing. You're supporting white supremacy, you're supporting white superiority, and you're supporting black and African inferiority. That's what you're doing when you do that, when you go into these churches. That you have to understand about what you're doing, you see? And another thing, Christians, I have to ask you this question. What is the name of your African God that looks like you? Because that dead white man on the cross does not look like you or any member of your family or any member of the African race. Don't look like us. So therefore, you have to understand another fact that I'm going to bring to your attention. When you go to church today, it's just like going back to the slave plantation. Let's go back into the slave plantation. Slave plantations are owned and run by this white man called Martha. Okay? He is the owner of the slave plantation. He's the enslaver. Every Christian church on earth, the head of the Christian church that's out there as a church, a Christian church, is Jesus the Christ, another white man. You see? Now, the overseer on the slave plantation is another old, ignorant white man called Boss Charlie. He, as the overseer, he keeps the slaves in order and in line for the slave owner. Who took Boss Charlie's place is Reverend C.T. Chicken Wing. Reverend Chicken Wing is the overseer of the church. Now, where are the slaves? The slaves are sitting in the pews of the church out there believing, not knowing anything, just going by a belief in what is being taught and what is being said coming out of the preacher's mouth. See? So you must understand what you're doing to yourself and what we have done to ourselves as an African people living in the United States of America. You see? Going into the institution that houses white supremacy. So we have to know that. We have to begin to think out of the box, like Brother Tarhaka mentioned. Thinking out of the box. We have to begin to think out of the box. And once you become to think out of the box, then you realize all of these things that Brother Darrell Lee Rice is saying to us, Brother Dr. Tarhaka Amal Bey is saying to us, what Walter Williams is saying to you at this very moment. Then you begin to think. See, we are trying to provoke thought. See? I have no right to tell you not to be a Christian. That's not my purpose of being on this program tonight. Okay? I didn't tell you to be a Christian, so I have no right to tell you not to be one. I have no right to tell you not to be a Muslim. I didn't tell you to be one. I have no right to tell you not to be one. Now, what I said for the Christian also goes for the Muslim. He can't think either. See, he goes into these mosques and he butts his head against a prayer rug, mumbling whatever, and he comes out thinking that he's okay. But he's not okay. He's been programmed too. See? So he can't think out of the box. The Black Hebrew Israelitism that's practiced by African people can't think either, because they believe that a biblical character by the name of Abraham walked this earth as a human being. You see? So they can't think out of the box. So we have to know the truth. Why? Because the truth will make us free as an African people, and that's what this program is all about tonight. We're talking and giving information coming from the mouth of Darrell Lee Rice, coming from the mouth of Tarhaka Black, coming from the mouth of Dr. Walter Williams, in order for us to provoke thought as a people. We want you to think. You don't owe us anything. Just think and come out of this illusion that you're in at this very moment that I'm talking to you. Brother Tarhaka?
All right, Dr. Williams. Brother Rice, you want to add on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think that what Brother Walter is alluding to, this is really it. I think that, and Brother Tarhaka, you mentioned this as well, our people are really afraid to trust us. We're afraid. Now, the same things that all three of us are saying, some of us will accept it if it comes from a white person, a Caucasian. It just sounds better to us. We can't underestimate how we've been affected by post-traumatic slavery disorder and how we suffer from that. And it's a constant fight because we are all in a recovery phase. It's sort of like an alcoholic. And my younger brother died of alcoholism, so I'm familiar with the whole aspect of alcoholism. And you're a recovering alcoholic, and you can slip back at any point, but you got to strive each day to try to move forward. Well, that's kind of how we are. We're kind of like that, and it's a battle. And I want people to understand that becoming and understanding who we are is a lonely journey. You know, you got to be able to have that support from people who think like you and who want to help you. But you can't be helped if you don't want to be helped. You can't be helped if you're afraid to be helped. And you have to be able to stand on the principles of who we are and really understand the power that we possess. There has to be something great about us if we're shunned so much globally. This is a global effect of what's going on with us, not just here in America, but African people in the diaspora. We suffer from this daily. You can say, and Brother Walter said this, very good point. You have a right to be ignorant. That's your right. It's not my place to change you. I only change you or help to change you or give you the tools to help change you when you're ready for them or when you want them. You can go through your entire life and be ignorant all you want to. That's your prerogative. But the moment you're ready to be helped and you're ready to go on that path, I'm here for you, as I'm sure that all three of us are willing to help anybody who wants to get on the path to change their mentality. It has to start with your mindset. It has to start with your mentality. How do you think? How do you view yourself? And you can't be afraid. You got to get over this fear. And you got to love yourself first. How am I going to love someone else if I don't even love myself? The African essence of who I am. That is where we need to get to be. Right. Plenty of people say, well, how do you know that? How do you figure that? And then they'll say, well, this happened because Jesus blessed me. So did Jesus bless the person who lost the game? Like you score a touchdown or you make the 3-point shot in the basketball game. Oh, we won the game because I was blessed. So what happened to the people that lost? So they were not blessed? See, this whole concept of being blessed, the whole concept is a reinforcement of a superiority of a people that don't look like you, period. And until you're able to overcome that within your own psyche, within your own self, you're going to remain stuck. You have a right to be stuck. You have that right. But you're going to remain there. It's like a hamster on a wheel. Or even worse, a goldfish in a fish bowl, and you move the fish bowl out the way, and the goldfish still goes in the same circle. Like Brother Walter said, there isn't a back door there, we'll make one. Because we have to try to maintain that status of being in that loop of where we are mentally, spiritually, economically, politically, socially. Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Thank you, Brother Rice. I would like to add another little tidbit, and that is I think that our people will fare better, and a solution to the problem that I would like to bring to the table is, first of all, knowing what it is we want and knowing what it is we don't want in every situation. And I think when we start concentrating on it to the point that we can make a decision, a concrete decision, and this decision should affect your life for the remainder of your days in knowing what you want. This is one thing. There's a difference between a need and a want. And I think when a man get to a position that he has taken care of his immediate needs and is always conscious of putting a need before a want, then he can safely come to the conclusion about what it is that he does want and what it is that he does not want. And I made this is in every area of your life. It's in your finances. It's in your association with other people. It's in your relationship with your woman or man. It's in dealing with the school system. It's dealing with your employment. It's dealing with every phase of your life. I drew up a couple of documents because I face my own self about exactly what it is that you want. What are you looking for in a mate? What is it that's going to make you happy? What is it that you want? What do you want when it comes to a mate? So I made a list of what I wanted, and I made a list of what I don't want. And so I'm able to study on over this stuff, and later on we get into the assets and liabilities, but not right now. When it comes to, and this is my own personal thing. I feel like everybody have different needs and wants, and I think that everybody should come to a conclusion about what you want. Now, what's on my list may not be what you want. You may, but you have to come to a conclusion about what it is you want, so you can make your own list. But I think this is something that we definitely need to do. instead of going through this hit and miss thing and getting involved in relationships that are going nowhere, wasting your time, your energy, your efforts, going trouble, fusses, fights, and all this stuff. Decide for yourself exactly what it is that you want. So when you are involved with someone and they are not exhibiting the characteristics of what you want, if they are exhibiting the characteristics of what you want, well, you have a list of what you want already. So you can you know what you want, and it's coming right there, and they're exhibiting what you have on the list. So therefore, you're in good shape. The first one on the what I want on this list, I have I want a woman who puts a man first. Okay, that's what I want. A woman who is qualified with herself and confident. A woman who is not afraid to get her hands dirty. A woman who has something to offer a man. A woman who knows how to hold a conversation. A woman who has self-control. A woman who can be taught by her man. A woman who will prepare me a meal. A woman who will work with me. A woman who wears her own hair. A woman who stands ready to defend me in any conversation. A woman who is clean about her body. A woman who stands ready to protect me. A woman who keeps her word. A woman who is willing to hold my hand in public. A woman that has the following attributes: self-direction, common sense, self-respect, morals, inner peace, a positive mind, strength, love of self, direction, knowledge of self, divine wisdom, and life. Now, some people may say, well, you ain't going to find that nowhere. Well, that's that's your opinion. But this is what I want. So if this is what I want, this is what I'll strive to get for myself, because I have decided for my own self what I want. Out of all the days of my life, I didn't have this list. I was vague. I was we're going to see how it goes. No, not no more. I ain't seeing how it goes, because I already know what I want. Now, what I don't want a woman who is lazy and without self-control at the same time. I don't want a woman who is toxic and defensive at the same time. I don't want a woman who is codependent and without self-value in her own mind. I don't want a woman who is indecisive, impulsive, challenging, and argumentative. I don't want a woman who is not goal-oriented and don't have a plan of her own at the same time. I don't want a woman who is not willing to try new things and have nothing better to offer at the same time. I don't want a woman who is selfish and disrespectful and won't ask a man for what she wants. I don't want a woman who can't express her feelings to me without calm. I don't want a woman who won't take an interest in what her man is interested in with confidence and conclusion. I don't want a woman who has a short attention span and is combative at the same time. I don't want a woman who will not take it upon herself to read and investigate the right information to benefit her and her man and family or children. I don't want a woman who has not decided what she wants and a plan on how to get it. I don't want a woman who don't know my name and when to use it in a private and public. I don't want a woman who won't do what I told her to do, who is fearful at the same time. I don't want a woman who is not willing to learn about what a man is. I don't want a woman who is not willing to learn about what to do with a man and has no plan at the same time. These are the things I want and the things I don't want, and these are the conclusions that I've came to, and I've took the initiative to print these out for myself so I can stay up on exactly what I want, so we won't run off the track and get vague and go down in the muckety muck again, because I've taken initiative to be decisive for myself, and that's a part of thinking out the box. Dr. Williams? Are you still with us, Dr. Williams?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, okay. Well, what else in the Department of Solutions do you think we need to concentrate on?
Well, what you said and the list that you ran down about what you want, I want to make a comment about that, and then I can go into another phase of our main conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great list. And if an individual, human being, whether they're male or female, will follow that list, most likely they will not be fooled by the opposite sex. And so I have to commend you on the list that you brought forth and expound on in our conversation today. So I just want to make mention of that. So that's great thinking. Now, I want to go into God. You mentioned God the last time before that you brought up God in our conversation this evening. And I want to, my 2 cents in about God. God, my wife, Arnetta, came to me one day and said that God was an abstract idea that needs human spirituality to give it life. Okay, I will repeat that again. My wife, Arnetta, came to me one day and said that God is an abstract idea that needs human spirituality to give it life. And that makes you think about it. When you think about those words are very profound, and that's true. It's an abstract idea, just an idea. Now, I'll give lectures on who is this man called God. You see, a lot of people, especially in the African community, in the African world, in America, and throughout the continent of Africa and other places of the world where African people live, they have a misconcept or a misconception about God. See, the dictionary says, under the definition of God, a male deity. Dale Rice put it a little further, a male with a penis. So that's who God is, according to the dictionary, without the penis added to it. But a male deity, as one knows, does supposedly have a penis. But anyway, that's the definition of God in Webster's dictionary, a male deity. Now, when you speak to people and they, on the conversation about God, and they're talking about God, they say he, his, or him. That's male. He, his, or him is male. Okay? She and her is female. So therefore, we're talking about a man that these religions render to be God. All religions have God. All religions have a God. Christianity have this dead white man on the cross called Jesus Christ as God, and he's supposed to be the Son of God, the invisible God. Okay, that's supposed to be his God and Father. It is Jesus Christ. Then you have in Islam, you have this God for the religion called Islam, Allah. That's supposed to be the God for the religion called Islam. And for Black Hebrew Israelitism and Judaism, you have Yahweh and Jehovah as God. In Buddhism, you have Buddha as God, etc., etc. So God is a man. God, one has to realize, cannot produce anything with life in it by himself. Goddess cannot, which is a female, cannot create anything with life in it by herself. The God, the male, the goddess, the female, has to get together and have a sexual intercourse, and the process can be brought forth at that moment to bring forth pro-life after the sperm of the male meets the egg of the female. Then you have a process beginning for 9 months of incubation to produce another human being. Okay? So have to realize this, that there are 7 billion humans walking this earth as human beings. And every human on earth has a personal God and a personal goddess. Who is your personal God? My personal God was my father, who impregnated my mother, my goddess. Tarhaka Black father is your God, who impregnated your mother, your goddess, okay, which is your mother. The same thing with Darrell Rice. His father is his God, who impregnated his mother goddess to bring forth Darrell Rice into this world. So now they say that God created the heavens and the earth. That's not true. That's a total misconception. The question has to be asked: what created the sky, this planet, the stars, the moon, the sun, air, earth, water, vegetation, animals, and humanity? What created those items that I mentioned? What created that? The answer is, don't know. No human on earth can tell you what created the things that I just mentioned, how they came about. They can't tell you that because that's a mystery of life. And I'm going to tell you why no human on earth, no matter what station in life that human holds, how much money they have, and how much education they have, they can't tell you that. I'm going to tell you why. The next question has to be asked to the human being. What created the first man and woman to appear on planet Earth? What created this man and this woman that appear on Earth? Where did they come from? How did they get here? See, that's another question that cannot be answered. No human can answer that question. It's the mystery of life. Next question. When a person is deceased, where does the spirit of that deceased person go? Can't answer that question. It's called the mystery of life. I don't care who you are. You can't answer that question. Why you can't answer that question? Why? Because you, the individual human being, no human on earth know how they got here on earth as a human being. No human can tell you how they got here. See? Through that 9 months of incubation, can you tell me what month your eyeballs popped in? Can you tell me what month your feet and your legs popped in? Can you tell me when your ears and your nose came about? You can't tell me that because you don't know. So therefore, when you came out of your mother's womb, attached to your umbilical cord, like I mentioned earlier, the umbilical cord was cut by the doctor, and that released you from the attachment from your mother. So therefore, what you had flowing in your veins and through your body of humanity is life. That's what you have. That's your indwelling divine spiritual birthright. Okay? But now, you don't know how you got in the world today, because every birth coming through the process of what I just mentioned, every human on earth is a miracle. I am a miracle. Brother Tarhaka Black is a miracle. Brother Darrell E. Rice is a miracle. And every human walking this earth of all races, color, they are miracles. You see? Don't know how they got here. The only thing that I know, I found myself here between 4 and 5 years old. So, Tarhaka, you may have a different time when you found yourself. Darrell E. Rice may have a different period of when he found himself and what age consciously on earth. So therefore, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I found myself living on earth in Chicago, Illinois, belonging to a certain race of people known as Negroes back then. Okay? So now I can multiply my experience. You can multiply your experience, Brother Tarhaka. You can multiply your experience, Brother Darrell E. Rice, to every human on earth of all races, creeds, and color. The Europeans cannot tell you how he got into Europe as a European. He found himself in Europe as a European. The African living in the continent of Africa can't tell you how he got to be an African living in the continent of Africa. He found himself there as a human being, same way that I found myself living in Chicago at between 4 and 5 years old, consciously belonging to a certain race of people. The Indians of India can't tell you how they got here on earth in human form. They found themselves in India as an Indian. You see, the Chinese can't tell you how he got into China as a Chinese. He found himself in China as a Chinese. So that's how you multiply your personal experience to every human walking this earth. You see? So getting back to God, one has to realize that your father who impregnated your mother is your personal God. And you got 7 billion humans walking this earth as human beings. Each and every human walking this earth of all races, creeds, and color have a personal God. So forget about all this sky and the pie, sky and the sky God floating around your head in an invisible form. That, like you said before, have you ever seen God? That's the question, Tarhaka, that you ask all the time. What side of town does he live on? Where can I see him and meet him? Okay? So therefore, the reason why they can't answer that is what I just stated prior to me making that statement about you saying, have you ever seen God? No, God is an abstract idea that needs human spirituality to give it life, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Before we get to you again, Brother Rice, I got to a caller with his hand raised at area code 312. I'm going to open up the line and see if they have something to say. Area code 312, you are on the air. Tell us who you are, where you're calling from, and what's your question or comment.
Okay, who I am. Hello. Who I am is Brother Yoel. Yes,
right.
sir.
Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Top of the
you
evening
want to weigh in on some of this, man?
So I want to get some of this. I don't know. You heavyweights, you know, if y'all can carry me, I think I can climb on your back and go a little ways with you.
Okay, jump on.
Good evening to you. Good evening to the good Professor Williams. And I understand there's another brother on the line. So good evening to him, too. Okay. Well, you know, the 5 things that you were basing this conversation on is really I'm looking at them and it looks like on one hand it's simple, but on the other hand it's very difficult. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying that when you ask the question, what will set these particular people free? I tell you, a real short answer to that is themselves. And the next one is, what is it that's holding them back? That's the same answer as the first one, themselves. And of course, if everybody else got paid, I definitely like to get paid, because hook or crook, either way it goes, if when it comes to our the unnecessary, in my opinion anyway, my unnecessary treatment that these people have put upon us, I think I should get compensated for the psychopathic racial personality that he has, and how he's heaped it on us as a people and caused us to have dual personalities ourselves. You know, so I think I should get paid, or we should get paid. You know, and why hasn't his religious beliefs saved them, or our religious beliefs? Well, because some things are out of our hands. I don't think it's a question of what you religiously believe. I think that when some things come down from from the spirit realm into the physical realm, you just have to let it play out. There's nothing that you can do about it. It has to play its way out. It's called a life cycle, and that life cycle has to play itself out. You can't speed it up. You can't shorten it. You can't do anything but just allow it to happen. And you only thing that you get to do is to basically choose what role you're going to play while you're going through that life cycle. You know, that's all you get to do in that situation. And how much time we got left is relative to how you're looking at the life cycle. Some say we're about 13,000 years into this part of the life cycle, and then some say we got about 13,000 years more to go. But again, it comes back to you. There's an old African proverb that goes, "I am because we are because I am," and to whatever degree, then you take a look at, like Michael Jackson said in his song, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at the man in the mirror and make the change. To whatever degree, and as soon as you can start making that change, that's when you start changing your circumstances and your world around you, your personal ones. And then with that, when that emanates to other people, you begin to change the world as a whole around us. Now, of course, the other side of that is, I think Elijah Muhammad at one time taught that something similar to what I'm going to say here, and he said that the white man is an outward expression of what's inside of us. And then I read recently something similar to that. It says, and that is that we are, well, he is in fact an expression of us, and if you want to get rid of him, get rid of the him that's in you, and he'll go away. So basically, it's all about us realizing that who we are as a people, and as soon as I feel like that we can start becoming as much as we can that who we are and who we truly are spiritually, then that to that good degree you start begin to getting rid of him, because other than that, it's going to be a slow process, and everybody ain't going to arrive at that at the same time. Only thing you can do is your life on this planet Earth is be the best man and woman that you can be during the time that you're here to bring that change about. Okay.
That's fantastic,
that's
Brother Yoel, and I certainly appreciate you for bringing those coins to the table. Thank you, man. That's
ain't but 2 pennies, but that's all I got.
Well, you got.
I say ain't but 2 pennies, but that's all I got.
Well, I'm gonna go over here to Brother Rice, Brother Yoel. He just finished briefly touching on the question about what about reparations for our people, and do you see that, Brother Rice, as a solution to that would help us, and in what kind of way? Because we know what the current condition of the people are. So what is your take on that in regards to reparations?
Here's the way I see that. Even if we were granted reparations, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be compensated for the psychological, mental, physical ills that that has transgressed against us, but will we even know what to do with money? What are we going to invest in? Some rims, some more weed? I'm being honest. Now, brothers who have an economic platform could make that work for us, but unfortunately, the mass majority of us. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be compensated. Because those individuals that call themselves Jews were compensated. Japanese were compensated. For ills that have happened to them from the government. But like I said before, to even start addressing getting to reparations, we got to fix ourselves we don't even know what to do with a reparation. You understand? So
that's right.
That's the first thing that I think that we should address in that regard. We have to know how we are thinking. We have to know those things, to even get to that point. I think the brother, I think he made some great points, and I'm with him 100%. It's the way he articulated himself. You see, his thought process. He's on the path. We need more of that, And it's not, just don't ever belittle yourself or belittle your comment in terms of what you can contribute to the conversation or to the totality of us flipping the script and turning the corner. We got to start with us. But that's what my spiel on reparation. Let me say this because I'm going to have to drop. First of all, I wanted to thank Brother Walter for even, inviting me on here to join him. And Brother Tarhaka, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak. And I hope this is not the last time that I'm available, to speak on your airways here to contribute to change our lives, because that's what I am to my heart. I'm about our change. I've been like that for years since I was a little boy. I've always been about our change. For whatever I could contribute as a young boy, I did that, and I still do that to this day. So that is my contribution. Like I said, you can get my book at DarylERice.com, DarylERice.com. You want to contact me through email, DeRice, D as Daryl, E as in Edward, Rice 418 @gmail.com. You can contact me that way, or you can follow me on Twitter at Daryl E. Rice, the same name. So I am accessible, and I do respond, and I am about help. And I'm not here to promote my book, to sell a book. I'm not going to get rich off selling a book. My richness comes from changing my people and seeing that change daily. And when you really want to change, I'm here to help you. That's what I'm all about, and I just want to thank you all.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming in, Brother Rice, and we value your comments. And I've taken the liberty of putting down your contact information. And in the future, you will be invited back to the broadcast. And we certainly appreciate you for being here this evening. If you got to run, we understand.
Yes, Brother Daryl, I certainly appreciate you coming on also. And, of course, you and I, we go back a long way. And you're such a brilliant, outstanding young man, and I'm so proud of you. Just very, very proud of you, and thanks so much again for coming on, making this show this evening, and contributing to this show, what you have contributed to this show, to make it a better show and a great show, and giving the information that you have given to our listening African audience and to the world, for that matter. So I want to again thank you so much for being my personal guest, and I want to thank Tarhaka for receiving you like he has received you. So thanks again for coming on, and like Brother Tarhaka said, it won't be the last time.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brother Walter. As you know, my accolades are true and sincere, and you all have a great evening, and keep building it and keep changing. That's where it's going to start with you. You all have a good evening. All right.
Okay.
Mayada Hotel.
Mayada Hotel. Okay, Dr. Williams, would you like to elaborate on the questions in the solution arena in regards to the question, what about reparations for our people as a solution, and keeping in mind our current condition? And so what is your take on that?
Well, like Daryl Rice said, what are you going to do with the reparations? Reparations have changed since the time of slavery. You see, it was 40 acres and a mule back then. after slavery ended, give me and give us as a people 40 acres and a mule. Today, 40 acres is fine, but a mule won't help us. We have to have 40 acres and a Cadillac today, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so that's all changed now. So, that's my take on it. So, what are you going to do with the 40 acres? Okay, what can we do with the 40 acres as a people, especially the ones living in urban America? What you going to do? If I live in the city of Chicago, if you give me 40 acres, where you going to give it? Where the acres going to be? And if I sell the acres, wherever you give, wherever the acres may be, then what am I going to do with the money? Okay, I'm talking about what is 50 or 60 million Africans going to do with their reparations? What are they going to do with them? What are they going to do with the money? So, and like I said before, we don't need a mule because the mule is outdated. So that's my take on it. And then let me go back and deal with another and continued subject of God. The question that I ask African people all over the world, what has God done for the Africans born in America? What has God done for the Africans throughout the African of Africa? What has God done for us African people? I can see God hasn't done anything. So an individual don't come up to me and tell me about individually what a God or this God that you think is out there has done for you personally. I'm not talking about that. The question that I'm asking is bigger than you, individual person. This is bigger than that, bigger than you, bigger than you, I'm talking about what has God, this God that you got floating in your head, that you pray to when you go to the church and get on your knees and pray to this God. What has this God that you've been praying to done for us as an African people in America and throughout the African continent? Because God that you're praying to is this dead white image on the cross. So when you come out of these churches praying to this dead white image on the cross, that same God that you've been praying to, this white God that you've been praying to, allows this white male to put us into slavery. When you go into this church and you're praying to this God that you're praying to, and when you come out of the church, this same God that you've been praying to allowed this white male to lynch us. Between 1880 and 1940, you had over 5,000 lynchings of African people in this country by this white male. So what did God stop that? Did God stop this white male from putting us into slavery? No. You go into these churches and you pray to this God, this white God, or this God, don't have to be white, whatever God you think it is. But when you go into a church, this is a white God, because the God on that cross is Jesus the Christ. And what has this God done for us when you come out of the church that allowed this white male to Jim Crow us, to humiliate us, to heap injustice on us as a people? This God hasn't done anything. This God that you're praying to allowed this white animal to come into Mother Bethel's church in South Carolina and murder 9 African people in there, including the minister. Why didn't God stop him that you were praying to? So I want you to take those words, and I want them to make you mad. Yes, I want to make you mad, because when you get mad, I'm hoping that you will think. I want to provoke thought in your thinking process. Take the words that I'm saying to make you and jar you to think, okay, about what I'm saying, about what we're saying on this program this evening, okay? So, again, I cannot liberate you as a people. You have to do it yourself. This program that Tarhaka Bay provided for you to listen to, speakers that come on the program like Brother Yoel, myself, Darrell E. Rice, and even Tarhaka Bay himself, is brought forth for us Africans in America and throughout the world to begin to think. Okay? You don't owe us anything. Okay? We're not doing this for money. If we were doing this for money, we'd starve and be out on the sidewalk somewhere, looking funny and so forth. So therefore, we're doing this because we love you African people. So take what we're saying with love, coming from us, myself, Brother Tarhaka, Brother Darrell Rice, Brother Yoel, and others who may come on this program after us. So that's what I want to add on to our liberation of the people, the African people in America and throughout the world. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay. All right. Dr. Williams, that was fantastic, and I certainly appreciate you bringing that aspect to the equation. And I think we're doing a wonderful job tonight just dealing with the solution to the problem instead of constantly discussing the problem. What we're concentrating on tonight is the liberation of the Africans born in America. And also the people who are classifying themselves are actually believing that they are Negro, blacks, and colored. This is designed to liberate you today. We're dealing with the solution to the problem, and we're not concentrating on the problem. We know what the problem is. So tonight we're discussing solutions. I like to add on another little part as I was speaking about earlier in knowing what you want. That's in every aspect of life. And I think because if you look at a situation when an individual goes to a job and they fill out the application and the person tells them that, well, okay, we're going to hire you for this job. The job pays $10 an hour, or $12 an hour, or $13 an hour, or $14 an hour. What that individual is saying to you is regardless of what you think about yourself and how valuable you are in your head about yourself and how high your personal self-image is about yourself and what you deserve based on the bottom line of your own personal value, we only value you in a certain amount, and we're only going to give you that by the hour. We'll pay you X amount of dollars by the job. But what we are not going to do for you is we are definitely not going to share the wealth with you. And the reason I brought that up is because I seen a documentary once where managers and contractors and large and medium-sized company owners went to Japan because they was trying to figure out, well, how is the Japanese economy going through the roof like this? I mean, these people, they got their economy is strong. And they found out that the Japanese had came up with a solution to an average and old situation involving employment. What they were doing was they were hiring the employees. And they told the employees, say, you can work for 8 hours a day, and we're going to pay you for those 8 hours. But we're going to give you a contract. And on this contract, you're able to continue working on because those hours that you're working now will be contributed to your own personal ownership of the company. Now, that was amazing. And because the people from the United States, they couldn't understand, well, these people is working, it's time for them to get off, but they're still working. Well, now they're working for themselves. They're working for ownership of the company that they're working at. So you had employees that, the bell rung, they didn't pay them no mind. They stayed working now because they're doing something. The company had found a way to share the wealth. But in the United States, when these American come back to the United States from Japan after seeing this, they went back to doing the same old thing. They would not change, even though they seen what the Japanese did and they came in. We're not going to change. We're going to still maintain this type of slavery against the workers inside our country. And as a result of that, our infrastructure is depleted. Our companies and factories and large companies are going to other countries now. You got vacant car manufacturing plants in Detroit and different places as a result of this same type of slavery, where I only value you at $12 or $13 or $14 or $15 or $20 or $25 an hour. That's what I value you as. But in Japan, it was different. The economy was booming. The people were happy because not only did they have 8 hours to earn a living, but they was able to stay at the company and continue to work and continue to add stock and value to themselves because the ownership of the company was now possible. It's just like when you move into a house and you rent that house, where you know that house is not going to be yours. You're going to constantly be paying for it as long as you live in there. But now, on the other hand, if the landlord comes to you and say, "Well, look, you don't have to rent anymore. Would you like to buy this home? And if you like to buy it, this will be your home. You're responsible for it. You can do anything you want to do to it. You just sign a contract here, and now you're owner of the home. So now you got a different attitude about your home because this is your home now. It doesn't belong to anybody else. This is your home now, so your attitude is different, and it changes people's minds. So in this situation here, a solution is brothers and sisters, instead of looking for what job I'm going to work on, why don't you start thinking about being a creator of jobs? Create your ideas, invest in your ideas, and carry your ideas out until they materialize. This is what everybody else is doing. You walk in a grocery store, you see all types of canned goods. You see what they got there. The different tomato sauce. You got Paul Newman's barbecue sauce. And these are ideas that people created and making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Just an idea. And so when you start thinking out of the box, in my opinion, that's number one. And we have to stop waiting for somebody to do something for us, and we start doing something for ourselves. So just use your brain. If you concentrate on something, if you have an idea of something that you need or something you want, just start concentrating on it. And the answers will come to you. You might have a dream, or that's because that has happened to me, and I've taken those dreams and brought them into materialization. You can do it. I mean, we're born with pretty much everything we need. The problem is we don't understand that if you don't follow your own thoughts, you will definitely follow the thoughts of the man who followed his. So it's imperative that if we're going to effect any change as a people in this country, we're going to have to start doing some strategic thinking. We're going to have to take a close look at our lives and come to a conclusion about how valuable is my life to me. How important am I to myself? How much love and respect and honor and dignity do I have for myself? We got to stop allowing other people to validate us. We have to validate our own self. Every individual needs to do this. And when we start doing this, you'll find out that you'll have a happier life. You know, take the time to read. Look at the ancient sciences. Look at the ancient health remedies. All of these things are at your disposal. We're living in a great technological age. We got a computer. We got books. We got tablets. We got cell phones. We got everything here. And there's no excuse. But if we don't ever apply ourselves, if we keep living our lives in a dependent mode. You know, just like you go in the grocery store and all the lights go out in the grocery store. Cashier, she's so used to depending on the cash register, which is a computer, to get her the answer, she done forgot how to count. I got to call the manager. I got to, you know, and I've been in them circumstances. So this is very, very serious. Brother Yoel, you want to add a little bit more in what we're doing here, man?
Oh, hey, you got me going. I'm putting out my paper, working out my plan. I'm writing it down as you go.
Okay, all right. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Change is beautiful.
I mean, I agree with everything, pretty much everything that you said, and that goes right back to what I said earlier. It's about you looking in the mirror and making the change yourself. But to add to that, though, I'll say this, though, that we know what happened, okay? We know we used to be better than who we are, in other words. Now we're in this situation. I'll tell you that there's something that and without using the Bible this time, I don't want to get a rock thrown over here in my window by Dr. Williams. We ain't gonna chuck no rock. I ain't gonna. I'm gonna leave that one out. But I will say this: that there are two other ways that there's a book called Ancient Future, and in that book, it has about two prophecies in there. Yeah, and one of those prophecies coming out of Hindu philosophy, and when you understand who they were, the Brahmins and all, then you understand you're still at home. But and then there's one coming out of Egypt, and that I remember that the one coming out of India, and this is both of these speak to, if we know already what happened now, and we know where we at. The only thing left to be known right now, pretty much, is the end results. So those two prophecies in that book speak to the end results, and both of them speak to when the close of something else happens. When the close of this here comes, we come to a close in this area or this cycle we're in right now, then something is going to happen. Now, the one, not quoting the one out of Hindu philosophy, but the one coming out of Egyptian philosophy, it says that let me see. Let me read it here for you. I'm gonna read it instead. It says, when all of this comes to pass, Imhotep, then the master and father, the God whose power is primary, will take a stand against vices. Will take a stand against vices and perversions in everything, righting wrongs, washing away malice in the flood, and consuming it in the fire, or ending it by spreading pestilent disease everywhere. Then he will restore the world to its beauty of old, so that the world itself will seem deserving of worship and wonder. So now that we've been given the end, the question is now, knowing the beginning, knowing what happened, and then knowing the ending is what you do in between those two. That we need to focus on now, and that comes back to what you just said, the things you just talked about us we need to do, creating things for ourselves, not thinking about getting a job, but thinking about what kind of jobs we can create or what kind of ideas we can come up that would create jobs. But the problem with most of us when it comes to mentioning that is we can come up, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of us out here right now got some brilliant ideas. They don't have a way of bringing those ideas to fruition. They don't have the economics it takes to, and they don't know where to go to find the economics it takes to bring those ideas to fruition. And so, therefore, they're just ideas that are dangling out in the universe in the minds, and we can't do anything with it because that person lacks what is necessary to manifest that, you know. But you said something, that you added something to what you said, and that's concentration. Now, of course, that's easier said. You know that. I know that. but that's not as easy as it sounds, because if you allow anything to a little flight of pass by and change that vibration of that concentration, you'll fall off that concentration, and you won't be able to bring whatever you're trying to concentrate on to fruition, right? Any little change in that will if you get a little shake at any time or doubt at any time in that concentration, you cut everything off. You disconnect. It's like having a phone line and any little discrepancy in the phone line will make the phone disconnect. That's what happens when you don't learn how to concentrate on it and stay focused and concentrated on that, and to draw so that you can draw that individual or individuals or whatever necessary to you in order to give you the finances necessary to do this. People don't necessarily have that kind of mindset to focus and stay focused on what it is that they got in their head. It's too many things, negative things that takes us away from that. I remember Manly P. Hall said that in one of his books. He said that the unprepared or the unfit cannot rise to the challenge of thinking. What a man does not understand, he misunderstands. What he cannot use, he loses. Thus, that leads to a decline of the esoteric education and whatnot. So, an individual will have to be trained to, in order, or be fit to think, or trained to think. Just because you having thoughts don't necessarily mean that you're thinking, not critical thinking. Now, you thinking, but you're not doing the critical thinking, okay? And so it sounds easy to say it's us, we the answer, but it ain't that. It at the same time, it's not that easy. Then this reminds me of also a poem by Confucius, and where he talks about men of old when they wish their virtues to shine throughout the land. They first had to govern their states well. But that poem, would not to quote the whole poem, but that poem took that all the way to what they have to do is to first of all compile information, knowledge. They have to seek knowledge, and they have to get a thorough investigation of that knowledge sought. And with a thorough investigation of that knowledge sought, knowledge becomes complete about that thing that they're trying to understand, which also brings into mind three other components that are necessary when you're trying to understand the purpose, the nature, a person, place, or thing, and that is nature, purpose, and origin of that thing. So when you acquire this knowledge and that you get this complete knowledge of that knowledge you sought, now your knowledge comes complete, and then you acquire discipline. And then when you acquire discipline, your virtue stands you out the land. So basically, that's about your mind and being able to focus and concentrate mentally on what it is that you need to do. Again, the discipline of the mind is one of the hardest things in the world to do. But however, to whatever degree you reach when you're disciplined of that mind, to that degree you make changes. So, the only thing that I see in all of this that may be a problem is when it comes to talking about lawfully. Lawfully, what do we need to do to make these things happen or to advance this thing? If one of the things that we need in this society here in America is to no longer be considered property, okay, federal property, then the question becomes, what do you do to change that? Okay, and if the only thing that they'll recognize here that would help us in this area, one of the things they recognize is nationality. The question becomes, what nationality are you going to choose? So we know everybody is not going to choose to be a Moor or whatever. Some of us going in fact want to say, why would I want to change African American? I'm African American, or I'm Negro. I don't need to change that. I mean, if it was not so, then Harriet Tubman wouldn't have to pull a gun on some of them to make them run, because she said they didn't know, some of them didn't even know that they were slaves. Okay? So some of us going to want to stay where we are. But,
that's right.
So the challenge would be, lawfully, how would we make a move toward changing our condition? And if that requires us choosing a nationality, my consensus would be, I don't care which one you choose, but you need to claim one. Whether you change Choctaw, Cherokee, Blackfoot, whatever the case is, you want to claim ancient Egyptian or any place you want to claim, you need to change one to change their status. Okay? Most of this goes back to your status and your status amongst the rest of the civilization or society here in America. So what is yours? Without one, you're property. So if you want to change that, you have to do something, and you have to make that known by paper. Which unfortunately in this society, they respect the paper right now, the power of the pen and the paper. So you'd have to do that. So the question is, when are we going to start doing those things? And when, along with changing ourselves and changing our circumstances, we change our status. But lastly, there was another part of the book, if you remember, also Tarhaka, was that prediction made by Nostradamus in there. What was the conclusion of his prediction in that book? He said that when a certain planetary alignment took place, rule would change back to, in the prediction it says the black nation. But once again, there go the end of the story been told already. The question becomes, what do you need to be doing in order to get there, to make it happen? So
exactly.
That's kind of a little bit more about that basically I add to that situation. But I would say that much as I don't like this, we are being allowed to go through something that we don't necessarily like, but it's what they say about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. At the end of this, you should be stronger than what you were before you went into it. So, like I said, when I first started looking at this, I looked at this and I thought, well, wait a minute, why would the ancestors or the Creator allow us to go through this? Except I told Wayne when I had him in here to do that lecture on the book, I asked him this question. I told him, I said, well, their ancestors allowed us to go through this because there was nothing they could really do about us going through what we had to go through, but what they was able to do was prepare for what we were getting ready to go through. No different as I say to next week, so how come you ain't going to have no radio program? Well, what that means for you is that then, or if I told you were going to lose your job, the only thing you could do about that, if you couldn't do anything about it, is do what? Prepare for next week when you won't have that. And that's the only thing that they could do to prevent us, to help us while we go through what we had to go through. Because as Mr. Williams has said, I mean, what did your God do? The Jews asked that question and they kicked Christ to the curb when Jesus didn't save them, didn't he? Didn't they? So likewise, now that we on this page, the question becomes, why are we still allowed to go through what we're going through here? Why is nobody else experiencing and going through the things that your people are going through? What is it about this whole situation here? Is there something special about you? Is it something you're supposed to get? Going back to Wayne's book, that law of rhythm, when he talks about the pendulum swing, well, that rhythm, it says everything flows in out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. So realizing that whatever degree you looking at your people right now, and I use this to measure where we are right now. If you want to know what time it is, look out there and look at your people and see what condition they're in. And if you really want to know even further what condition you're in, look at your woman. You look out there and look at your woman. To whatever degree you see in her worst state, that's how bad you are off. Okay? So when you look at that and you see how bad that is, then to that same degree, if you consider this principle of the principle of rhythm, to that degree are you going to be the measure of the swing to the left. That's going to make you greater than you are right now, much greater than you are right now, and so whatever the worst you are right now, that's to that degree you're going to be your best, and that's how I see this. Anyway,
okay. All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you dropping that bit of knowledge. Ancient Future is a book written by a gentleman named Wayne Chandler. I have that book here in my collection. It's been a while since I took it down, but didn't get a chance to go back in it and reread it because I've read it. And there's some fantastic information in there. Very, very informative. Dr. Williams?
Yes.
Okay, you want to weigh back in on some more solutions?
Well, hearing the conversation, one of the main things that I want to bring to the table again, that we as an African people have to go back to ancient Egypt where it all began. You can go into the Bible, you can go to all these religions, you can go here, you can go there, and yonder, and so forth and so on. But for us as an African people, a unique people whose ancestors brought civilization to the world, that's where we need to be. Who created and brought forth civilization for all of humanity? That is our greatness. And our greatness is unclaimed in the continent of Africa, lying unclaimed, because the descendants of these great people who brought civilization to the world are now in all these different religions, taking them here and yonder, taking them into the Bible, talking about some Jews. There's never been no Jews any place. The only place that you find Jews is in a narrative story in the Bible. Okay? Please understand that. No human beings walking this earth talking about Jews. Salomo Sam, who teaches at the Tel Aviv University in the illegitimate state of Israel, wrote a book 8 or 10, 12 years ago entitled The Invention of the Jewish People. He's telling you they invented. So stop talking about Jews as if they actually walk the earth as human beings, okay? Get back to your own ancestors, the first and oldest civilized people in the world. That is the foundation of our strength as a people. This we must teach our children, bring them back there, and teach them who their ancestors are, not were, but are. You walk around every day with a dollar bill in your pocket. On that dollar bill is printed, the pyramid is printed on that dollar bill, a pyramid. At the top of that pyramid is a cap with an all-seeing eye. That's our position that we have to get to. Keep your eye on the prize. Stop going here and yonder. The slogan of the Negro College Fund said, a vine is a terrible thing to waste. And there's a book out called Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. In this book, he showed you how to think and you can grow rich. Same thing that you are touching on, Brother Tarhaka, is to use your mind. Begin to evolve. Stop revolving every day. Just revolving the same stuff. Yum. Back and forth, same stuff. Begin to evolve. When you begin to evolve, what do? You grow. Okay? So that's the reason why Napoleon Hill wrote the book, Think and Grow Rich. In other words, if you're poor, you have to sit down and think. How can I grow rich? With an idea. Okay? Everything that you see around you was once invisible. You have books, you have furniture, you have cars, and everything that you see around you has no life in it. It came out of the thoughts of a human being, whether it's a male or female. Okay? But now, you have to use your mind in order to evolve to that point. But before you can evolve to that point, it goes back to the first step of your African liberation as a human being, that you have to know yourself. Dr. Imhotep, the medical physician of ancient Egypt, said, know thyself, and that's what he's talking about. And that you have to know who you are as a human being first, okay? Set aside all other things, all this garbage out here, this Bibles and these religions and all this stuff takes you off into many different directions. But we as an African people, we have to stay focused. Please, please, please stay focused. We need a nationality. The greatest culture that has ever been developed on planet Earth came out of the continent of Africa in Egypt by an African people known today in history as the ancient Egyptians. Please get back to that. Don't let nothing deviate you or throw you off that track from getting back to that point. So you can teach our children, your children, the greatness of who they are. And once they know the greatness of who they are, then the change will come. Okay? You look at the march of the children that was marching yesterday all over America and all over the world. Those kids out there, the little girl, 11 years old, dynamite. 13 years old, dynamite thoughts. Okay? They didn't, like I mentioned before, not one word of God or Jesus came out of their mouth. They were talking straightforward facts. And they expressed themselves like any educated adult, okay, without hesitation. They knew what they want. And if they don't know it, they knew who they are. They know who they are. They knew it. Okay, they expressed it. So we're going to have to get back as an African people in this country, in America. We're going to get back to learning the history of what happened to our African ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, after the Greeks, Europeans came into the continent of Africa in Egypt. Something happened to us as a people to put us in this condition and position that we're in over in this hemisphere called the Americas, North and South America. So we need to know that history. See, we need to know history. So therefore, in order to, when we learn history, we can use that history to evolve. Okay? William A. Bennett, who used to be the Secretary of Education for the United States government, said, to be ignorant of history is to be intellectually defenseless. You see? Mm-hmm. So don't use any other avenue of finding your back way back to ancient Egypt. Then using the discipline of history and where you start, us as an African people have to start in ancient Egypt. I keep harping on that. I will continue to harp on that until something clicks in your mind. You're going to understand, oh, wow, I see it now. Something happened to us as a people back then by the Europeans coming into the continent of Africa in Egypt during the time of the Greek and the Roman occupation over it. Something happened, but we have to know that history. So back to you, Brother Tarhaka.
All right, that's an excellent point that you made there, Dr. Williams. I thank you so much for that. I want to get over in the realm of trying to keep the solutions as basic as I possibly can from my perspective, and I think we've done a wonderful job with that all night long. Knowing the difference between one thing and the other, we'll take assets and liabilities, and this is something that we need to understand because the equation is so simple. An asset is simply something that puts funding into your pocket. A liability is something that takes funding out of your pocket. There's no in between. There's no almost. There's no compromise. It's just plain and simple. And the reason I'm bringing this point up is because I have assessed the situation. I've been doing quite a bit of running around and going here and going there and taking care of different things. And I noticed that our people have a real serious problem with not knowing the difference between an asset and a liability. We go at the equation this way. Okay, I got a job, I need transportation, so I got to buy a car. Well, if you're going to invest in that, one thing that you need to understand is you need to answer the question in your mind, is this going to be an asset or liability? Is that how is this vehicle going to put funding into my pocket opposed to taking funding out? Because we know that we're going to have to make repairs on the automobile. We're going to have to put gas in it. We're going to have to put tires on it. We're going to have to maintain the proper oil and maintenance of the vehicle. And this all spells one thing, funding coming from some place. And then we're going to have to make payments on it if we haven't bought it cash. But either way it goes, it has to be viewed as an asset or a liability. If you're going to buy a truck, what type of truck are you going to buy? And the reason I'm bringing this point out is because I have a nephew that works for a car dealership. And he's like, Uncle, man, I can get you a nice truck, man. I said, well, okay. What I'm looking for is a kind of truck that I can haul something on. If I run into a tree with it, I ain't mad. I don't need a dressed up truck that I'm not willing to put anything on because I got to come up with an idea about how that truck is going to pay for itself. Now, I was successful at doing that once before, and the truck actually paid for itself on a regular basis because I had learned the difference between an asset and a liability. The same thing is if you becoming employed. Is this company that I'm working for an asset or a liability? If I'm going to invest my time, energy, and efforts into working here, is it an asset or a liability? If they've told me that they're going to pay me $10 an hour and I'm going to work 40 hours a week, so am I willing to invest this kind of time into getting what they have valued my time at to give me that amount of money and determine how much food I can eat, what kind of food I can eat, what kind of clothes I can wear, and what level I'm gonna buy them on, and how much I'm gonna pay for them. All that's determined by the individual who have created a company to hire you. So what we have to do is we have to turn these things around and learn the difference between an asset and a liability in every situation that you're involved in. If you use this simple equation, you can become even more decisive in your life and draw conclusions that's not based on emotionalism, but based on pure naked thought and practicality. And if we approach situations like this, we're much more successfully. That's why I read off the information about what I want and what I didn't want, because that doesn't have anything to do with emotions. There will be absolutely no feelings. There's no feelings here. This is just strictly the conclusion that I've come to about what I want and what I didn't want. And the same thing goes for association with people. Same thing goes with your employment. Same thing goes with your shopping habits and all of this stuff. So when we use these small little thought processes that can propel us into a better a state of living, I think that is contributing to the liberation of our people as well. Knowing the difference between an asset and a liability, knowing what you want and what you don't want, knowing the difference between a need and a want is very, very important. And I think this is something that a lot of our people have not come to the conclusion of and is not taking action about. So I definitely am glad that we're having this broadcast so that I can put this information out, because I was struggling a long time ago about how am I going to reach my people. I would spend hundreds of dollars recording information on our ancient story, information on history. I was investing in the DVD disc and in the sleeves. I was recording the information, putting it down on educational discs. Then I would get in my vehicle and I would go to different places that I saw my people at, and I would give them this information. But I discovered that I was steady investing and steady giving this information out all over the city. And when I go back to the same people that I gave the information out, I discovered that nobody wasn't trying to do anything. And I asked the guy, I said, well, did you look at this I gave you? Well, no, my cousin got it, but as soon as he gets through with it, I'm gonna check it out. And week after week after week after week. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, something's wrong. I said, this problem is bigger than I thought, and it's costing me a lot of money. So I had to come up with another plan, because I'm still determined to contribute to the uplifting of my people. So we come to the Blog Talk Radio show, which has been very, very effective. And then we come to the conversion process, and we're posting the videos and stuff up on the YouTube and stuff, which is very, very effective. So I may not be reaching everybody in America, but I think that we are definitely doing some damage. And so I'm happy with those that I have reached, and I'll think some more and come up with another idea, and we'll put that into motion. But Dr. Yoel, you want to elaborate further on this liberation process, man?
Well, I will say something else about the reparation thing, and that is this, that Les Brown used to say that, I used to listen to him, he used to say that 85% of our problems are money. Now, of course, like the brother said earlier, that left, money ain't going to help some of us. It just ain't going to do it because we don't even know what to do with it in the first place. Now, if you can provide their reparations in another way in which to make them an asset, as you just said, then we need to provide them something that will make them an asset, as opposed to giving them some money, because they ain't gonna do nothing with that but let that come in the front door and go out the back. So, but I will say this, that to those who know what to do with it, then the everyday problems or ills and burdens that burden us down as a people, that because our lack of that money, if you could eliminate that, then maybe our people can concentrate and focus on something else and be creating, rather than trying to focus on trying to pay the bills and do whatever we have to do to make them ends meet. We can do that, but I guess when it comes down to it, all of this has a reason for being. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have it, because it's designed to make us train us to develop who we are in the midst of all of this other chaos that's going on at this time, and then and only then will you become the best that you can be, because you did it in the middle of all this chaos around you. So it all serves a purpose, and the only thing we can do is to try to be the best that we can be.
You're absolutely correct.
Plain.
Well, thank you very much for that one. Dr. Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
All right. You want to add back in? What do you have to say about the needs and wants and assets and liabilities?
Well, we have to be educated to the point affected by a change in our thinking in the African community in the United States of America. Again, we can no longer use the same methods and the same route that we're taking now as a people, because the method and the route that we are taking is splintering us as a people, meaning that these various religions are doing that. We're going to have to come together as an African people and begin to eliminate all religions and divest ourselves from all religions and religious ideology. Now, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying that when you divest yourselves from Christianity, other religions, Islam, etc., that you have to eliminate the building, the church. The church has to be reformed and remodeled, meaning that we can no longer afford to go into these churches which houses the symbol of white supremacy, the dead white man on the cross. We can no longer do that. So therefore, we're going to take a garbage dumpster, bring it up to the church, and take all religious symbols down from the exterior of that church. Whatever's out there with crosses and other symbols and the wording, Church of Christ and so forth and so on, we have to take all that off the building and throw it in the dumpster. Take that same dumpster and go to the rear of that church, open the doors and go inside and take out all religious literature such as the Bible and anything that's pertaining or written on paper that's pertaining to religion. Take it out of there and throw it in the garbage. Get rid of it. Get rid of it out of your life. So therefore, we're going to have to go on the walls inside of the church. Anything that has any semblance of religion, such as Christianity, take it off the wall. Go to the windows. If you have any stained glass of this white Jesus or any type of Jesus image, take it out and replace it with plain colored glass. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't want the listening audience to think that I am a racist. No, I'm not a racist. But I love my people. And this program that we're on today, meaning you, Brother Tarhaka, providing this program for us to be on, such as myself and Brother Yoel and Daryl E. Rice, our prior guests, doesn't mean that we are racist. That means that we love our African people. That's what this means in the conversation that we're bringing forth at this very moment. So therefore, we've got to rid ourselves from all religion, divest ourselves from all religion, take the church, keep the building, but dismantle all Christian artifacts, literature, and symbols in that church. Now you got a plain building, okay? Reverend C.T. Chickenwing cannot be Reverend anymore. He has to be Counselor C.T. Chickenwing, okay? He is going to have to become a teacher, a spiritual leader, if you want to use, for the lack of another word. He's going to take that building, once was a church, and turn it into a learning institution to teach our children and our other adults in the community where this building once was a church had to teach them different building trades, carpentry, roofing, electric, so forth and so on, remodeling, and teach them these trades, computer, science, trades, and so forth and so on. Teach them things that could be used for the future. In other words, this building can be used as an institution to tell the truth instead of a building that once was a church. It was used to tell lies, because all religions are based off of a lie. That's all it is. The Bible is a book that one has to believe in. The Bible is a book that is based off of a lie. A Bible is a book that a human being reads. And in that book called the Bible, there are narrative stories in there. Those narrative stories come alive when the human being reading those stories believe in the stories that he or she is reading coming from the Bible. So therefore, you, the human being, you're giving this Bible and this religion life. So you're going to have to cut it out. And the way you cut that out is going back to what I said. You have to know who you are as a human being. Know thyself. I was in Sacramento, California many years ago, and I still get this question even today. Dr. Williams, I am a Christian, and if what you say is true, that there's never been a man that will walk the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ, what do I put in its place? Valid, good question. The answer, you were born with what's to be in its place. You've been walking around with it all of your life, as many years as you've been on earth alive. That is your indwelling, divine, spiritual birthright that was given to you by your mother and father having a sexual intercourse, and your father impregnated your mother's egg with his sperm, thus causing the 9 months of incubation to take and develop you as a human being at the end of the 9 months. See? So once you understand all of that, and I explained the first thing that you need to liberate yourself was to know thyself, about your pineal gland, about the universe that you live in, your personal universe, and so forth and so on. And that in your personal universe goes back to what you are saying, Brother Tarhaka, is about using your mind to think with, out of the box. You see? So if you use your mind, it goes back to what Napoleon Hill said, think and grow rich. It goes back to what the Negro College Fund anthem is, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. You see? So you understand that everything around you was invisible at one time, but it came out of a man's mind or a woman's mind by way of a thought. And once that thought entered that human's mind, then you put action behind that thought. And what happens when you put action behind it, you begin to develop that thought and bring it to fruition, to become a real life, live entity that you created out of your mind. Yoel created the underground bookstore, which he owns today. At one time, 25 years ago, he didn't have the underground bookstore, didn't exist. Then one day it popped in his mind. I want a bookstore. What can I name it? I want to name it the Underground Bookstore. All that's coming from thought. One day, Tarhaka Amani El-Bay said, hey, I want to have a blog talk radio show. Before that thought came in your mind, and you got up off of your behind and brought that thought to fruition, that's the reason why we're on this blog talk radio show that you created from your mind today. Walter Williams created and wrote 2 books, The Historical Origin of Christianity, The Historical Origin of Islam. Okay? So therefore, 26 years ago, or 27 years ago, the book has been out 25 years. The Christianity book has been out 25 years. Islam book has been out 15 years ago. Before that time of me bringing these books into fruition, it was just a thought in my mind. No one could see the thought in my mind but me. So what I had to do is take that thought from my mind and bring it into reality, develop it. So today I have 2 books out in the public arena. Today, Brother Yoel got out around bookstore. Today, Brother Tarhaka has got a blog talk radio show, and he's out helping people to solve their problems through the media of the blog talk radio show and through other medias that you use to bring forth and initiate this idea that you thought of many years ago. So thoughts are things. Thoughts are very powerful, but you got to take the thought that you develop in your mind, invisible. It's invisible now. So therefore, if you want to bring it into physical reality, you got to get up off of your behind and start doing something to bring that thought that it's invisible into physical. So thoughts are things. From the invisible thought comes the physical reality of your thought. So that's some of the things I had to say about that, Brother Tarhaka. Brother Tarhaka?
You there?
I don't know. Brother Tarhaka?
Well, I guess
I'm here.
I'm
here.
Just keep it rolling. Since
I got it. Can you hear me now?
It's okay. We'll keep it going.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, I had accidentally hit the mute button some kind of way down here, and I checked my buttons on my volume. I see they had them moved, so I had to put them back, and so I'm back on now. But that was an excellent point that you made.
I thought maybe I put you to sleep. I talked so long.
Well, no. You did a wonderful job. You laid out the information. I wanted to add some things before I go back to Brother UL about this thinking process. And a case in point, because what people have to realize about your thinking, what you say out of your mouth, the brain automatically goes to work to manufacture every reason why you're correct. If you say, hey, I feel good, today is a wonderful day, well, the brain is going to go to work automatically manufacturing all the reasons why you're correct. And case in point, I was trying to think of a movie program. And I was thinking. I said, well, I'll think of it after a while. I'm going to think of it after a while. And I left it at that, and I started thinking again, and I still couldn't think of it. I said, well, it'll come to me after a while. And finally, while we was on the broadcast here tonight, it automatically popped in my head. I said, that's it right there. I remember what it is. So I got that now. And I found out that to be very, very effective. People need to understand, and this is part of the solution too. When you say something, when you speak something, the first people to hear it is you, because your mouth is less than 10 inches from your head, from your ears. So when you say something, I suspect you the first one to hear it. The key is to say what desired results that you want, opposed to letting other things, how you feel, dictate how your day is and all of that. There, you know, you can change a lot of that based on what you bring into existence, speak it into existence. Because if you say, well, my leg hurt, my head hurt, I don't feel good, it's so dreary out here today, boy, it's messy today, it's bad day,
oh, it's terrible. Well, the mind will automatically go to work manufacturing all the reasons why you're correct. And then you're spewing out what's called negative energy. But you can change that by not allowing, you may not feel good, but you don't want to compound the problem by speaking the existence about how you feel. You change how you feel and what you manifest in your life based on what you speak into existence and believe into existence. If you're going to believe in something, believe in you, because everything is either attached to you that you have or comes from within you. So if you're going to believe in something, believe in you. But what religion does, and the educational system and all these other systems do, is they are busy trying to get you to believe in something outside of yourself, instead of coming to a conclusion that, well, if I need an education, I need to provide one. I'll start with books. I'll start with research. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't get on the computer and continue and further my education, because the brain is like a bucket with a hole in it. If you don't keep worthwhile information coming in, it's just going to seek out. And then you'll find yourself in a position where you're not moving forward, you're losing, and you have nothing. So you have to continue to deal with the value of your own self and increase the value of your own self and your own thought process. When you get a good idea, look at it from every angle, and then bring it into manifestation. Go about trying to do what you can with what idea that you have in order to achieve something and to benefit yourself. And then when you're benefiting yourself, then you can be a benefit to someone else. Just like we was talking about, you and I, Dr. Williams, were talking about the haritaki fruit and the moringa and the water and all of this stuff. These are ideas and things that has manifested themselves in my life and a lot of other people's life. But they were just ideas, and they come along, and we took advantage of them, and we invested in them, and we've learned the difference between spending and investing. I've come to the conclusion that I only invest in what I need. If I need it, then I'll make an investment. So I got a lot of things in my environment that I need, not that I want. I don't have. I got a garage that's empty, but I go by a lot of people's house that makes good money, and they got storage facilities out where they've gotten so many things that they want that the storage facility, they need a storage facility to put in what they want, because they didn't know the difference between a need and a want. So they got all these things that they've spent money for that they didn't need, that they had to invest in something to house the materials that they probably won't ever use again. And I've seen it over and over and over and over. So when you think, like you say about our Napoleon Hill books, Think and Go Rich, Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, and there are many, many other books, The Magic of Thinking Big by David M. Schwartz, and the list goes on and on and on. It's just a matter of changing your thinking and taking control of your thoughts and your thought processes so that you can manifest into your life what it is that you want. And you're going to have to keep out negative influences. Now, you don't have to go to the extreme that I went to. I feel like I had no choice. I got chains and locks on the gate. But it gives me peace. I'm able to think, plan, execute, do what I have to do on the shows and many, many other things, talk to people and deal with them with their various issues and stuff. I'm able to do that. But prior to that, man, I had all kind of negativism coming from all kind of ways. I couldn't block it out. So I feel like I had no choice but to do that. And so now I'm able to continue on with my work. And I go and come just like anybody else. If I want to go somewhere, I go there. If I have an engagement, I do what I have to do. But it's all about changing, thinking about what it is that you want your life to be. How do you want your life to be? How are you going to manifest your life where you can be happy with you? It's not selfish. It's based on the principle that has already been mentioned earlier in the broadcast. You can't help nobody if you ain't got nothing. You can't love nobody if you don't love yourself. So it all starts with you and in your own thought processes. When we change our thinking and we put aside a lot of the old cliches, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and common sense ain't common, and all this kind of stuff, and start thinking, deal with the facts, lay the facts on the table, gather the facts. Just use your brain for yourself, and you discover that your thinking is different from a whole lot of other people's thinking, but you have to take control of that, and that's what I wanted to add. So we're down to the last 8 minutes. Fella, y'all want to help me close out. So, Brother Yoel, what's your closing statements on this thing?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the blog and allowing me to come on and add a little something to flavor to the conversation. Thank you, Mr. Williams, as well, for reminding me today is the day. Appreciate that. Love you both for that. And also say that they, of course, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have not enough ambition to develop the necessary strength to make the change or to think and grow rich. Mm-hmm. Life is science, and people don't realize that. Everything we do, the words you speak, everything that you do is a science. It either validates you or it invalidates you. Okay? So you'll never really get that strength unless you come to the realization that this thing is a science here and you got to focus, or else you would do what's the woman name? Patti LaBelle says when she says, "Don't block your blessings." You'll block your own blessings. Nobody else blocked them. You did. So you can't get rich because you're blocking you in your way of you getting rich. So that's a science of knowing how to get out of the way get out of your own way. But anyway, on that note, I just add and close by saying this, that of course books is what I do. I'm from the Underground Bookstore. I just like to remind them, the Underground Bookstore in Chicago. And whatever book they're looking for, if I have it or if I don't have it, if it's in print, I can get it. And you can find me at Underground Bookstore at 1727 East 87th Street in Chicago. Phone number 773-768-8869, 773-768-8869. Email address, theundergroundbookstore@gmail.com. theundergroundbookstore@gmail.com. So in this time that we're living in here, which is the information age we're in, my people, you need to be seeking information, and you need to be seeking what's going on. If you don't know by now, you need to be seeking somebody who do know, or who you believe that knows anyway, to find out what you need to be doing. So therefore, in actuality, bookstores shouldn't be disappearing; they should be increasing right now. But they're declining and not increasing. So that's a problem. And if these people keep having their way, we won't have any bookstores in the future. Okay, to find a book. Eli with Denzel Washington in it will be a reality and books become very valuable at that time. Okay? So that's all I have to say, Tarhaka.
All right. I certainly appreciate you for being on, my brother, and I look forward to you coming back, and thank you so much. Dr. Williams, what's your closing statements? We have 4 minutes.
Well, I won't take up too much of the time. I'll try to use those 4 minutes. Anyway, my name is Walter Williams, as others know, and I've written 2 books. One is called The Historical Origin of Christianity. The thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ never existed. Okay? And that book has been out for 25 years, selling all over the world, all over America, in the UK, and in the Caribbean. My second book is called The Historical Origin of Islam. In that book, the thesis is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of a Prophet Muhammad of Islamic tradition. So that book has been out for 15 years and is selling the same places where the Historical Origin of Christianity is selling, all over the world, America, the Caribbean, UK, etc. Now, what I want you to do, if you want to email me, you can email me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT, Egyptian, EGYPTIAN, @msn.com. When you email me, put your phone number there, your name and phone number, and I'll call you back and we can converse further in conversation. So remember that a lie is not your friend. None of these religions are your friend because they are based off of lies. So a lie is not your friend. Remember that. That also I want you to remember is something about facts. Facts are stronger than argument, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinions. Silences dispute, supersedes predictions and facts, always in the argument. If you seek facts, not fiction, not mythology, because facts are not based off of a lie. A lie is based off of fiction and mythology. So a lie is not your friend. So that's what I want to close with, Brother Tarhaka.
All right, Dr. Williams and Brother Yoel, I certainly appreciate y'all for being on here this evening, and I think you did a wonderful job at dispensing solutions to the problem that are facing our people in the United States and different parts of the world. And I thank you all so much for coming together with me tonight and bringing this information out. I thank you. We're going to be coming back again, and we always host this broadcast at the last Sunday of the month. So for those of you who are listening to the show, make sure you tune in. Our next broadcast will be on, let's see, let me go look at this thing here. Unless something comes up that's different, we'll be on the 29th of April. We'll be on again with another fantastic broadcast to contribute to the uplifting of our people. And I'm looking forward to having you all along with me. But tonight, I thank you guys, and I'm going to close out, brothers. You all have a nice night, and Mayot Hotel.
All right.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard from Brother Yoel, you heard from me, and you heard from Dr. Walter Williams. We're closing, and you all have a good evening, okay? Good night.
You don't have to lose your home due to foreclosure. You don't have to worry about child support. You don't have to be in credit card debt. Have no fear. Tarhaka Armana El Bey is here at newdebtelimination.com. Got student loans, child support, mortgages? Contact someone who's got the experience and the knowledge to get you back under God's law. That's Tarhaka Armana El Bey. He's been there, he's done that, and he can prove it. Just give him a call at 904-303-9061. That number again is 904-303-9061. And log on to newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com and get yourself free.